Good morning. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Evening. Whatever.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Pretty and Witty Book Club.
Yeah.
Today we are going over chapters 29 through 53. Supposed to be 50, but if you read up to 50, then you understand why we could not stop at 50 and had to go through 53. So sorry.
Lots of shit went down.
Because it wasn't a good place to stop. If you did not read that far, what were you doing? And we're going to go chapter by chapter. So you can just pause when you get to this section where you're done and then come back when you catch up.
Yeah.
So, chapter 29, I did highlight stuff, but I actually went back through and kind of tried to summarize the chapters so that it wouldn't take as long, because chapter 44, my God.
It's a doozy.
And it's long.
It is. But then also, I realized part of it when going back through was that it jumps right into the next chapter. So I kept reading thinking it was all 44, and really I ended on 47. So. But 44 does have a lot of content.
It does. And I feel like it just went on and on and on. Not in a bad way. Like, I wasn't bored. There was so much stuff happening.
So many details.
But the whole second half of that chapter could have been its own chapter. Like, I was surprised that it wasn't. So, I'm going to start on chapter 29 and just kind of summarize what I have. Mm-hmm. Kayla thought she didn't highlight, but she actually did do some highlighting and a few things. And so we'll just kind of bounce back and forth between the two of us as to what I have, what she has, and we'll go from there. So for chapter 29, I documented, because I'm in healthcare and that's how we talk, I documented that Everett notes that she was not raised to enjoy sex, that sex is only for men's pleasure, and the woman is just supposed to take it. Her father sold her to Dollhouse, which
I think we assumed up to this point, but I think that was confirmation right there.
Yes. Yeah. Her father sold her to Dollhouse, and then Dollhouse's training forced her to enjoy sex because they wanted her body to crave it. And so in this chapter, we get that information, but she's struggling with the idea of being Cash's toy and being a doll. So she says they are two different things. One feels good and one is a death sentence. Most people didn't make it out of Dollhouse alive. And I think that's where she's going with that. But mentally, she does have a hard time enjoying having a sex life with Cash and being allowed to experience that.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's not a punishment. Yeah. Like, she kind of hates herself at first for enjoying being with him because she feels like she's falling back into what she was trained to do. You got anything for 29?
So 29 is where Eve and Cash go to Eve's dad's wedding reception. They've already gotten married, so they're just having a reception. So this is a chapter where they're going to that. Part of this chapter is that. This is where Cash says, if she doesn't want to kill me daily, then I don't want it.
I love that.
Which I love.
Love that for him.
And then also I noted what you noted. And then I put Eve hates Ashton, which is great.
Up until this book, I didn't really care about her one way or the other.
I know a lot of people hate her, but I didn't care either way.
I didn't really care in Carnage. In Madness, I was kind of like, you need to back up off Charlotte's man a little bit. Yeah. She feels needy and like she needs to be the center of attention, but that could come from the fact that she never got attention from her parents and then was suddenly surrounded by these boys that gave her all of their attention.
Yeah.
So I think she obviously has issues from what she's been through in her life, but Eve don't like that girl.
Yeah, no. She also shakes hands with Hayden She says something along the lines of, he doesn't recognize you, it's all in your head. So this is where we're coming back to, she thinks Hayden knows her. We eventually get to that in these cluster of chapters, and we'll let you know when we get there. But
we answered a lot of questions in these chapters.
Oh my gosh, we did. And that's all I have for chapter 29. Other than Ashton also doesn't like Eve, but I think that's because Ashton just likes the men. Like, yeah.
She doesn't like to share the attention, is what it feels like.
Yeah.
Chapter 30, I wrote down that Eve's brother shows up uninvited to the reception. I don't know that we know at that time that it's her brother, or if we find out in the next chapter.
I think we assume. No, he says father. I did write that down. It says Eve's brother shows up at the reception and calls Bill father.
Okay,
so right now we're under the assumption that this is her brother because of Bill.
Yes.
Bill is her dad. Bill tells him to leave, or he'll have him killed. The brother ignores him, and Bill says, we had a deal. And Eve thinks in her mind, like, what's that about?
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know what that's about. Cash notices, and Eve sees Cash, like, beelining it towards him. And then she quickly asks Bill, I need a favor. And then the chapter ends. So that's all we got out of that chapter.
Okay. 31. Okay, I didn't say it, but in chapter 30, the brother's name is Evan. I don't know if we find that out in 30 or 31.
We find that out in 31.
But in 31, the crew, and by crew I mean Riot and his wife, Sin and his wife, the Spade brothers, Tyson, all go back to Blackout, which is Tyson's nightclub, to meet. They get a text message that says meet at Blackout after the reception. Apparently, Eve is the one who sent that message, so all the ladies are down at the bar having a few drinks, and she joins the men up in Tyson's office to let them know about Evan.
Yes.
So Evan is her half-brother.
Yes, they had the same mother.
Yeah.
So we assumed that this was her brother because of Bill. No, he's actually her brother.
Yeah.
Her half-brother.
She was born to her mother and a different man, and this guy was born to her mother and Bill. Mm-hmm. So they have the same mom. Bill is his father, but I wrote down Eve's mom, who's a founder, had Evan with Bill their senior year of high school. They got married his senior year at Barrington. She failed her assignment, the mom did. So she became a breeder, and that's how she had Eve with another lord.
Yeah.
Eve was sterilized at 18, and Evan trains men and women for Dollhouse. He worked for Isabella. So we find all of that out in that meeting that she has with them.
Eve walks up in there like she owns the place, because she kind of did in that moment.
Yeah.
They're like, why are you here? And she's like, I called the meeting.
Yeah.
I was like, that's my girl. And then she basically like lays all this information out to him.
Yes.
And they're just kind of like, huh? What?
I think Hayden asks her, so were you a doll or are you a doll or something? And she says no, but that
Cash knows. Cash
is a lie.
You're a fucking liar.
Yeah. He knows.
And I think that's all we get out of chapter 31.
It was a bit of a bomb.
Though. Yeah, it was. She just went in there and was like, listen.
She dropped the mic.
Yeah. She did share also that someone asked what Evan does. That's when we get that he's a trainer. And then they asked, how does he get paid? And it says he makes money doing this, and says yes, he is given the victims, then is paid once they are sold. How do you know all this? Hayden asked me. She goes, I told you Bill is our dad, and Evan's been working with Isabella for years. So she doesn't answer the question like that she was at Dollhouse. She just says that she knows it because of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yep. She is very good at avoiding questions,
yes.
But she has all the information.
Yeah.
Chapter 32. The only thing that I really wrote down that I highlighted was a flashback that Eve had when she was brought into Dollhouse. And it's basically like they're reading off a paper of who she is. And so it says Everett Sinclair, founder, 1 suicide attempt, 1 pregnancy but no children, miscarriage, and has been sterilized.
I highlighted that as well. I did take some other notes when I was going back through it.
That's all that I took.
Cash, so they go back to the house. Cash keeps asking Eve if Evan trained her. She denies it. Then, like, she basically kicks him out because he keeps, like, pushing her. So he's like, fine, lets her kick him out. So he goes back to Bill's house. Sin is there, and Adam is there. And Bill is like, I can't tell you anything about Adam. He goes, I'm not here for Adam. And he basically asks Bill, like, I know you have connections. I want her as my lady. Make it happen. And Bill's like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if that's a good idea. Adam's like, I think it's a good idea. And then Sin reminds Cash what he had to do for Ellie, because Ellie's a founder's daughter, her test, and how much it messed up Ellie. And he's just letting Cash know, like, hey, like, you're going to have to hurt her for her to pass her test to be a lady. I don't think you want to do that. And he keeps saying she can handle it. So he tells Bill, like, make it happen, and then basically leaves. So he doesn't really give Bill an option. And then at the end of that one, Eve goes to the grocery store and runs into the realtor who sold her house.
Yes.
And asks if she's met the neighbors yet. She says, what neighbors? She goes, oh, across the street. What's his last name?
Mr. and Mrs. Pierce.
And she's like, sorry, come again?
Such a lovely couple.
Come again? So she quickly realizes that Cash bought the house with his wife and kids, and she's pissed, but then that ends the chapter. And then we go into chapter 33.
We do find out who Amber is.
We do. It's not as juicy as I thought.
Yeah. I did not highlight anything in chapter 33.
I highlighted, she was a hooker that I paid to be my wife. That's Amber.
Which makes sense coming from Madness, where the only spot that we had heard about Amber was at the clinic that Hayden had taken Charlotte to. Amber was like, oh, you're with Hayden? And, like, wanted to talk to him, and he just said hello and moved on.
Yeah.
Apparently she knew him because she was a hooker, and he went through a very dark time.
Yeah.
So, that's one question answered.
Yes.
From last week is...
While Eve's at the grocery store, she decides to buy ingredients to bake a cake for Cash as a welcome to the neighborhood gift. And then she shoves it in his face. And that's how he finds out that she now knows.
But she also got completely dressed up, showered, hair, makeup, fancy to deliver that cake that she baked him. She didn't even poison it.
She told him she did.
She didn't. It's kind of funny. I didn't highlight again until 36. I don't know.
He takes her down to the basement and, like, basically shows him, like, it's like a collar that's down in the basement, and she takes it the wrong way. And he's like, no, like, this is for fun. And she's like, no, like, she just, it didn't go over well. And that was pretty much that chapter.
Yeah, she doesn't want to be held prisoner. She doesn't mind being his toy. They keep referring to her as his toy. I don't like that. But she doesn't mind doing that, but she doesn't want to be chained up in the basement, because literally that is the whole first half of her life.
She was chained up in her room, and she was chained up at Dollhouse.
He doesn't know all of that, though.
He doesn't. Like, he obviously assumes things, but he doesn't know all that, and it just doesn't go over well. Mm-hmm. So he knows nothing about the first part of her life, though.
In 34, Eve goes to Carnage looking for Cashton. This is the first time she has ever been to Carnage that we know of. So when she walks in, she says that she's looking for Cash or whatever.
Yeah.
And Jesse lets her wait in his room, and then Cash comes home and finds her there. It was a big deal, her being there at Carnage, and we find that out later, why that was such a big deal for her to go back there.
Yeah. Because he He has a tracker on her. I don't know if it's her phone or if he put one in her. But he finally goes to, like, he's doing stuff, and then he goes to find her. He's like, why is she at Carnage?
Yeah.
He's like, if they took her, I'm going to kill him. Like, referring to his brothers. But she's in his room, so.
Yep. They, when he gets up to his room, so in chapter 35, when he gets up to his room, she's taking a bath, and he joins her. I need to see the size bathtub that these men that are over 6 feet tall can comfortably get into.
I mean, it has to be a huge
women.
bathtub.
It has to be, because I barely fit in my own bathtub. So I'm certainly not getting in it with my husband, and he's 5'6" on a good day. Short kings. Like, okay. But I read these books, and these guys are getting in the tubs with their women, and I'm like, how
Massive.
big is this tub?
Massive.
I want to see it.
I'm down for it. I love a big bathtub.
But they start talking, and she tells him that Evan, her brother, did not have sex with her. That he did not use his body parts when in training. Mm-hmm. That he used toys in training at Dollhouse. And she is dead set on this, 100% convinced. In this scene, this is also where Cash tells her to marry me, because he has already talked to Bill. I won't say ask for her hand in marriage. She pretty much demanded that Bill work it out with the Lords. And she's basically saying no. She's not really going to have
because
choice.
She goes, they're never going to let it happen because I only serve for one purpose and I don't have that purpose anymore.
Right.
So she's basically thinking what everyone else is thinking. In her mind, I think part of her is like, I wish I could have that, but she knows that the Lord's not going to let it happen. So.
Yeah, she is like, they won't let us, and if they do, they're going to punish you and by hurting the people that you love, which isn't just her. He's got, brothers, and they have wives, and, all of these people. So basically she's saying, like, mm-mm. So she says in this chapter, you're not untouchable. His response is, I won't let us lose. So
yeah.
Who wins? I don't know.
They have a cute moment where I think, which way is it? She asks him why the TV's on. He goes, I can't sleep without it.
Yeah.
And then she says, I can't sleep without music playing. And so he goes to turns off the TV and turn on the music. She goes, no. I was like saying, like, we're the same. Like, we need the noise.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was cute.
They crave chaos.
Unfortunately.
Together. And then they do some things to tire themselves out. Chapter 36. I specifically highlighted in this chapter because this just kind of goes more towards the divide between Ashton and Eve. So Eve stayed that night with Cash, and then when she goes to leave the next day, she runs into Charlotte, and they're walking down the hall like she's getting ready to leave. So they're at the top of the stairs. They look down, and Ashton is trying to talk to Hayden. It says, Ashton goes to give him a hug, but stops when he crosses his arms over his chest. Instead, she lowers her voice, speaking softly to him, and she nods a few times before rubbing tears from her face. This bitch, I can't stand her.
She hates her.
And I kind of see myself in that statement because I, too, would be the same, like, oh, hell no. First of all, don't be trying to hug my husband. I get that that's not her husband, but she's like, that's Charlotte's husband, and Charlotte is standing right here. What is wrong with you?
She's very protective of Charlotte.
So, however, I was trying to think, like, Ashton sees him as a brother that she's done things with. So, she's just trying to, like, that relationship is strained, and she's just trying to fix it. But I don't feel like that anymore. Like, going on and reading the chapter, I don't like her either. I've tried.
Eve knows what the Spade brothers went through because Ashton shot Hayden. Saint.
She shot Saint.
Saint, there we go. Shot Saint.
She broke Cash's nose.
Yeah. So she knows what they've been through, and and a lot of her inner monologue is like, she left them. Like, she had these men who would do anything for her, and she left them. Like, they would have protected her. So she gives us a lot of that she knows all that. Part of that she knows because she was in Vegas helping spy on Ashton.
She was kind of everywhere.
Adam. She was everywhere. So Adam kept her in the loop with a lot of things.
She says specifically, I feel like there are several reasons as to why I don't like her, but the main one is because I know what the Spade brothers went through for her. If she had protected them instead of running, their lives would have been different. They wouldn't have been tortured for 6 months. In shooting Saint, what was the point in that? She was willing to kill him to save herself. If you ask me, that's not a woman who is in love.
She hates her. Damn! She hates her.
I can't say that she's wrong, though, because up to that point, you just believe from reading Carnage that, like, okay, she does love him because the book tells me that she does. But when you see it from that point of view, I'm like... You're like, did she? I can't say that she does. She had a lot of
self-doubt. And I will say that no one knows what Ashton went through as far as not knowing the whole story and all that stuff.
But we read the book.
No, I know. But
so we know.
Well, we know. Well, that's... I mean, they don't.
Yeah.
They don't know what Ashton was told and all that stuff. But still...
You try to think, like, what would I do in that situation? So, you know, the people who do judge don't know, okay, like, if you were in the situation that she was in where it's a life or death situation and somebody told you were pregnant, but that you were raped, so it wasn't by yours and all of these things, obviously you're going to go a little mental, but I just don't think I would shoot the man I loved.
Yeah, that's hard.
Because she didn't even know if he lived. She didn't know if he killed him or not.
She thought she killed him.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I could do it. I did highlight in this chapter that Cash tells his brothers that Eve is the one.
Oh,
I know. So cute. So when he's talking to them, Saint says, "So Eve, sure that's a good idea? I mean, more than once? Rude. Rude." And Cash says... He starts by saying the best decision I've ever made. And then he says, she's the one. I smile and Saint looks skeptical. The one? He asks slowly. I nod. I'm obsessed. She's like crack. How would you know? Saint asks. You've never done crack. I open my mouth, but he continues. She's a founder. So is your wife, I counter. Yeah, but he trails off and looks at Hayden, who softly shakes his head. So another question answered there, because we were not certain last week or the week before on if Ashton was a founder or not.
Yeah,
and I guess
it was like one sentence in the book.
Yes.
I had to go look it up.
We weren't sure. And so this kind of confirmed that yes, Ashton is a founder's person as well, which makes Adam, because they're twins. So Adam's a founder's founder.
Adam's founder as well. And a Spade brother.
He's double special.
He's double special. Yeah.
I think that was all that I highlighted in that chapter. Yeah. I did enjoy in 37. So Eve goes to see Bill. And Bill is telling her that Cashin came to see him after the reception and that he wants her to be his lady. My brain says first lady, but that's the president, not the Lord. She's like, you told him no, right? And he doesn't say anything. She's like, you told him no, right? And he doesn't. He didn't tell him no. And so he's trying to, like, kind of talk her into it. Like, you deserve this. You deserve to be happy. You know, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, they'll never let us do this. So then as she's leaving, she runs into Adam. And the first thing she says to Adam is, your sister is a bitch. But he says what everybody says, which drives me crazy, because then he's like,
been through a lot.
Yes.
So is Eve, and Adam knows that.
I feel like Eve's past compared to Ashton's past is so much worse. So much worse. Anyway, so I did highlight that because I just thought that was funny. Your sister's a bitch. In the next part of that chapter, she confronts Cash about why he went to Bill.
Yeah. She's like drunk and upset.
And he tells her, I told you, Eve, I love you. And she's like, no one can love me like this. So, then she starts worrying about what if I fail? What if I freeze up? Whatever. Because in order for her to become a lady, she has to do an initiation or a...
She's a founder. She has to have a test. So
I feel like there was another word
They test her. It's initiation.
I feel like there was another word for it.
The text, what do they call? I know what you mean.
Assignment.
There we go.
She's gonna get. I was like, it's not an admission. It's not a mission. What is that word? Assignment. She's gonna get an assignment. And because she's a founder, if she were to fail, then she would be a breeder. But she can't be a breeder because she is sterilized. So if she fails, do they just kill her?
Yeah.
Or do they take something from Cash?
And that's what she's afraid of. And Cash is like, I don't care.
So, Cash basically tells her the deal is done. I already got confirmation from your daddy. Chapter 38. I didn't highlight in this one, but this is where he has his little project. Yeah.
He ties her up. So they get into an argument. She goes into her closet, comes out with a syringe full of meds to knock him out. So they have a deal, and Cash is like, if you stick me, I'll leave or whatever. Mm-hmm. And if I stick you, then you're mine. You marry me. He wins.
Naturally.
It's just, and he even admits it. He goes, she's feisty and she, all these things, but at the end of the day, I'm bigger than her. So, he gets it in her. He doesn't use it all. He takes her to his basement, ties her up, and they have their own little vow ceremony with clothespins that say, I vow, you vow, we vow. So, yeah.
Chapter 39 through 40, I kind of combined in my notes because they went to Kingdom in Vegas with Hook. So, if you are keeping up with Bingo, Kingdom comes into play.
The Kings make an appearance.
I was so excited because I love such a good crossover and I love all of those characters. And so we learn a few things here. So, Cash picks up on a little...
exchange.
I was trying to decipher what that noise was.
Yes,
a little exchange between Eve and Cross, which we do find out what that's about. But their plan is to leave the girls in the hotel room while they go...
We don't know what they're doing. Well,
they're looking for a girl that is
security footage.
Hook's assistant?
Something like that.
And so they go to Vegas because this girl is missing who works for Hook. And so they've agreed to help him. And so they go to Vegas to do that. And so while they're out looking for whatever they're looking for with this girl, they leave the girls in the hotel room. And this is where it gets good. So the girls decide that they're gonna watch a movie. And Charlotte wanted to watch something, but Ash says, "Oh, I really love Titanic," and so Charlotte, being the pushover, agrees to watch Titanic. And Ash is super excited about it and gets a cherry lollipop to eat while she's watching it. She's like, "Oh, this is my favorite part," and there is a perfect description of how she's eating this lollipop. Charlotte wanted to watch Pretty Woman. I love both of those movies. I would have been fine either way.
All right.
Ashton sucks on her sucker like it's a dick, and the slurping noises are grating on my nerves. She pulls it from her lips. This is my favorite scene. She looks at me smiling, and I don't like it. It's one of those I know something you don't know smiles. She shoves the sucker into her mouth once again and goes back to trying to get it off. I watch her wanting to slap it out of her pouty lips. So, chapter 41. The movie's over. And Ashton has a little more pep in her step than usual when they go back to the suite. That's a quote. Charlotte says goodnight. She's carrying triplets, so she's
exhausted. She fell asleep before they even made it on the boat.
Yeah, she slept through the whole movie. So Little Miss Investigator Eve calls Cash and is like, does Titanic mean anything to you? So then he says, Titanic? In a very hushed voice, because he's with the boys. And she says, yeah, the movie. Does it mean anything to you? No. Think the first thing that comes to mind when I say it. Titanic, movie, Jack and Rose, cherry sucker. I rattle off. He's silent long enough that my pulse begins to race. I sit up and clench the cell in my head. What does it mean to you, Cash? The movie means nothing to me. It's nothing. What does it mean to Ashton? She rewords the question. He sighs
her by her full name.
Her full name!
Rude.
I hate when my husband calls me Jessica. That may be my name, but that is not what you call me. I am Jess. I am Babe. I am Baby Doll. Do not call me by my full name. If he sends that over text message, I'm like, what is wrong with you? What have I done?
On the other hand, if I'm like Jessica, ... it means I have
something
tea.
Serious. And I am all ears or eyes. However you want to take that. So, he doesn't tell her. And she gets pissed off and hangs up on him.
Yes.
And turns her phone off, by the way, because I feel like if you're going to commit to hanging up on somebody, you need to be committed. You need to be unreachable for the next however long. So she goes to Ashton's door.
Heck yeah! I thought we were going to get to mark off girlfriend.
I thought so too as I was reading it. I was like, Kayla's getting her moment. How did you know this was going to happen?
Too many girls. I knew it had to happen.
So Ashton says, hey, need something? Do you want to read the quote?
This whore. That's not the quote. She steps into the room. She goes, Charlotte is a better person than I am.
What do you mean?
You may be pregnant, but your face isn't, and I will knock your teeth out of your fucking mouth.
Yes! Yes! Somebody said it! What? Oh, hand on the chest. Why do you hate me so much? Is it because I've slept with Cashton?
And then her mind, she goes, this bitch! So it's a bunch of inner monologue, because she truly doesn't care about that. She goes, honey, Cash took what Saint offered him. I let him take whatever he wants. We're not the same.
Okay. Then she says, her eyes narrow on me and I can't fight back the smile. There it is. The jealousy that I know is there. The very thing Charlotte says doesn't exist. She feels sorry for Ashton. I fucking don't. So then they go about their business. Charlotte wakes up. The cat comes out. Like, she's very kind and nice to Charlotte.
She's like, oh my God, Charlotte. Fuck you, Ashton. Oh
yep, 100%. She says, I know Charlotte has doubts in her mind, but she tries to convince herself there's nothing there. And I believe there isn't for Hayden. We don't trust Ashton is what she's saying.
Yeah.
So Ashton invites Jasmine over. She was texting her on the plane saying that she was going to be in Vegas. We love Jasmine. She's one of our faves. And I believe that is here on the bingo card.
Yes,
Jasmine makes an appearance. So if you are keeping up with bingo, mark it out.
We don't have bingo yet.
I don't. Whoever made my bingo card really screwed me.
Whoever made mine screwed me.
She walks in, Jasmine, and in typical Jasmine fashion, read the Dark Kingdom books. You'll love her. Who wants to drink ourselves into a coma?
That's Jasmine.
Why not? But then there's Ashton. Ashton laughs, closing the door behind her, and then looks from me to Charlotte and says, well, we're all pregnant, so you'll be drinking alone. I feel a pain in my chest at Ashton's words, but I plaster a smile on my face. I'm not. I'll have a few with you. If Ashton is trying to force me to hide in my room, it's not going to happen. So, those two swap love stories. They get drunk, and then Ashton comes home. And she gives him the silent treatment, so he has to confront her in the bathroom. When he walks in, Ashton's like, Cashton, look who came to visit, because Cashton and Jasmine have a past. However,
he paid her.
Every single time.
And he makes that a point to Eve.
He says, Jasmine knows we never had anything other than sex. Hell, I paid her for it every single time, even after she stopped being a queen. So Ashton literally invited her over to make it awkward.
Yeah.
Didn't work.
Because Eve's a boss.
Amen to that. So Jasmine leaves. Eve goes to get in the shower. She's ignoring Cash. And then they have a meeting. By meeting, I mean he forces her out of the shower and they're going to have a conversation. So she tells him that they decided to watch a movie and Ashton chose Titanic while sucking on a cherry sucker like it was someone's dick. That was my first clue. And then she made sure to tell me how much she loved a certain part. I can only imagine why. Surely it had to do with all of your dicks, which means you lied to me.
I didn't lie. He really did. The movie really does mean nothing to him. It meant something. It meant something to Ashton.
It was the first time that they shared her.
Yeah,
I do believe. And to him, it wasn't. He says, I dropped by Saint's dad's house. The three of them were in the media room, and something was playing on the screen. We took our turns. I wasn't paying much attention to what was on. Like, he probably didn't even know what movie it was, to be honest. But he's telling her, like, she wants you pissed off. She wants to keep you angry. So she tells him, I don't trust her. She blatantly throws herself at Hayden, and I don't know if Saint sees it or chooses to ignore it, but if Charlotte isn't going to stick up for herself, I will. And Cash says, what does that mean? And she says, it means I threatened to knock her teeth out of her mouth. She wanted to make a statement, so I made one of my own. So then he's like, you're crazy. You know that, right? And she's like, let her go cry to her husband like a little bitch. And when he comes to me, I'll fill him in on what she's been doing. And
Cash is like, that's not going to happen. He'll come to me.
Yep.
Cash is like, we're not doing that.
Nope. He does tell her while they're getting ready and doing this, like, back and forth business, because she's very adamant about she doesn't care about his past. She doesn't care who he's been with, you know, blah, blah, blah. He does tell her, I haven't been with anybody since you. And for Lord, that's a big deal, because all of these women just think that they're
and this whole
screwing anybody.
Yeah. This whole time, her inner monologue has been like, he probably does that to all the women he fucks. Mm-hmm. He probably does that for all of his girls that he talks to. So he just put away one of the major doubts in her mind.
Yeah. Whether or not she believes it, I don't know. We do find out in this chapter where he's asking her about Cross, like, don't think I missed that. And she says that she does know Cross. This wasn't her first time meeting him, but it wasn't because they had a relationship. He gave her her tattoo, the butterfly. Chapter 42, they, like a couple days go by, yeah. They are at Carnage, and she has to leave, and they've been there for several days, necking. They were necking. And so she goes to leave, and they're, like, making out in the elevator. Well, the door opens, and Ashton steps in, and blah, blah, blah. So she goes to leave, and Ashton says, so, you and Eve, is it serious? And he doesn't answer her right away, and so she's like, I mean, I guess that's a stupid question. You've only known her, what, a month at the most? But then again, Hayden married Charlotte rather quickly. And so he says, 6 years. I've known Eve for 6 years. Oh. Then I add, you were gone for a long time, Ash. A lot has changed.
Put her in her place.
And then they were going down to the basement where the boys were. And so when the door opens and he steps out, it says that I step in front of her, blocking her only way out. What you did with Jasmine in Vegas, don't ever pull that shit again. My relationship with Eve is that serious. Do you understand? And I love a man who's protective of his relationship. Don't disrespect my girl. I love that. She understood. This is also him and Hayden have a conversation because Saint has to, like, take a phone call or something. or no, he's going to walk her back
He
up.
walks her back upstairs.
And so he tells Hayden about her, situation, trying to whatever mess around with Eve. And he asks, is Eve jealous that you've been with Ashton? So they talk about that for a little bit. I highlighted where Cash says, I'm curious because I'm a nosy bitch. But they go on to discuss that they don't want to stay at Carnage forever. Yeah. They don't have to, but they have up to this point because it's convenient. They have everything they need at Carnage. But Hayden has been looking and says that he found some property enough for all of us. So it's a big enough property that they could all live on the property, but in their own places. Yeah. Because they need their own space. But then Cashton's phone vibrates when he pulls it out. My life lights up the screen. And so he has to go.
Eve basically says, I'm bored. And Cash is like, deuces, guys. And cures her boredom.
Yep.
So we have a chapter and a half of boredom.
Yep.
And there's a nosy neighbor who I don't necessarily trust right now. He's going to come back into play.
I wrote him down in chapter 44.
Well,
Did you write him down already? Did I miss it?
He tells her to go to his house. The neighbor peeks that.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then because he had his front door is all glass, he says you have to go into this room to do what he wanted her to do. She goes, why in there? And he goes, because the front door is glass and that nosy neighbor is going to fucking see you. So,
yeah.
Nosy neighbor.
I think during that interaction, he comes to the door.
He does.
And I think that's when I highlighted it. So, his name is Christopher. Or at least that's what I wrote down. And I wrote it. Cash and Eve's neighbor, Christopher, is weird and that will come up again.
Yep.
He's at the beginning of that chapter when Eve gets there, he's outside watering his plants or something and says hello to her and she has no idea who he is. She's on the phone with Cash when that happens. And then when Cash gets home, he is staring at Eve's car in his driveway and is asking about the wife and kids. There is no wife and kids. We already discovered that Amber was a whore and there have never been kids. And then while they're in the middle of doing what they're doing, he knocks on the door and is looking through the door in the house for her.
He's looking for Eve.
Yeah.
And that's when he says, what do you need, Christopher?
Yes, that's where we got the name from. But I know that this author doesn't put anybody in a book for no good reason. So that name will come back. That person was planted next door for something.
Yeah.
His story, according to Cash, is that his parents are rich and had a kid late in life that they don't want to raise, so they're off traveling and he's there
raising his brother,
but he doesn't work or anything. They take care of all the financials and he just smokes pot and yep. So
it is noted that the reason he came over is because he got some of his mail. He goes, put it in my mailbox. He goes, isn't that illegal? He goes, only if I turn you in. And then he slams the door in his face, but he hears Christopher curse when he catches sight of the gun that Cash stuffed in the back of his jeans because the doorway's all glass.
Yeah.
So he hears him.
And he doesn't have window treatments.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't really live there.
Yes.
So it says they returned to Carnage. In 44, they returned to Carnage. Are you on 44?
There we go. Okay.
I
was getting through the sex.
Okay. They returned to Carnage in 44 with a neighbor being weird. He didn't want to keep her there long. They got a group text from Bill last night telling them to meet at Dollhouse in the morning. This is a long chapter.
It is.
There's a lot of information. I actually highlighted shit gets real because this is where a lot of information comes out. Okay, it says we enter the building at the back of the property, Dollhouse, and stand around waiting for Bill to arrive. The place gives me the creeps. It's large and eerily quiet. Definitely old money and needs to be renovated. Better yet, someone should just bulldoze every structure on the land and then burn what's left. Sick things have happened on this property to innocent people. The lords or the people that get in trouble, they're sent to Carnage.
Yeah.
This is a place that is not on anybody's radar.
It's not legit.
These women that come up missing,
world.
yeah, these women that come up missing, it's because they've been kidnapped, they're stolen, and they're taken to this place. So this is no good. So when Bill walks in, he has Adam with him, which always sets off red flags for me because I'm like, here we go.
They're just supposed to be dead.
One of the things we learn when they're walking through is there are red bulbs, light bulbs above the doors. And when those are turned on, that means that the room is in use or training is in progress. And so that was one of the key things that they mentioned. Eve, we know, was at Dollhouse. She was there for a year.
Yeah.
They have a device in one of these rooms that they take them to. And it's called the Giver. And I didn't highlight that because they didn't put a lot of focus on that. But what they wanted them to see was in this room, we have this thing set up. And it's like a chair with no seat that you're able, the back is shaped a certain way so that they could tie their victims up easily in this device. But there are cameras in each corner. So Adam says they stream the training to potential buyers. It makes them feel part of the process. And so it's not like just streaming on YouTube. It would be like streaming on the dark web because they want to be able to determine who is watching. Obviously, they don't want police in there. But Cash is catching on to what they're discussing. So he says, Eve was here in this specific room. And Saint's asking him, how do you know? Hayden's asking, she's a doll? Because in the conversation that they had where they met at Blackout, she said no. And so he's like, I get it. Why would she be alive to talk about it? We don't know much about dolls except that they're either tortured, sold, or killed. So those are your options. That's how you get out of Dollhouse is you're tortured to death, basically, and then you're either sold or they kill you. The only person that he told that she was a doll to was Sin. And he's obviously kept that conversation to himself because the bromance is back on, baby. But Bill confirms that she was, and that they had video specifically of her arrival day. And that's when Cash asks, how long was she here for? And Bill says that she was there for a year. They go over, Bill says to play the video. And it shows a guy bringing her in. She is
also someone that's going to pop back up because they keep talking about the same guy. So this guy's going to pop back up. I know
it. She is very lethargic in this video. She's extremely thin, skin and bones. She's bruised. She's dirty. Her complexion is pale, basically lifeless. And that's when they repeat the line that I highlighted previously from her flashback was Everett Sinclair, founder, 1 suicide attempt, 1 pregnancy but no children, miscarriage, and has been sterilized. Isabella is the one who receives her. The guy that's talking to her says she's pretty much useless to us. Not sure why you even consider accepting her. And Isabella rolls her eyes and says, men are useless. Another man enters the room. It's the same guy that was at Bill's reception, which we now know was Evan. And he touches her in ways that he shouldn't and then says she'll make the perfect whore. And he assures Isabella that he will train her. So Isabella says, she's all yours. I'm leaving. I've got dinner plans. I'll check in on her in a week and see how she's doing. And so she does. She leaves her there with him. At this point, she doesn't have her tattoos yet. So Cash is trying to gauge timeline of when this took place in her life.
Because on the Isabella, she just had 3 vertical lines. It's on her hip, right?
Mm-hmm.
On her hip. Yeah. But now she has a butterfly tattooed over those 3 vertical lines.
And at this point, she didn't have anything yet. So Evan goes to strap her in this device that's in this room. to start her training right away, even though that's not typically how they follow the process according to what's said in the video. But in the middle of that, there is a knock at the door. And so he goes to open the door, and another lord walks in. And Cashton sees this and immediately says, what in the fuck is he doing here? And
Hayden,
yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Hayden says that. And at this point, I'm like, who is it?
right?
Who is it?
Who is this
Because you know
person?
that somebody always comes back. There's always somebody that's connected to somebody, so you're just waiting. So this guy and Evan continue to talk. Evan starts an IV in her arm. She'll spend around 5 hours a day for the next few weeks in this chair, which is awful. She'll be restricted to a liquid-only diet, and this will help keep her on constant fluids while allowing us to administer any drugs that she may need. She also has a mask on her face. There are 3 hoses connected to her air purifying respirator. One is the obvious air. The second is nitrous oxide, and the third is a stimulant for arousal. We are able to regulate how much she gets from each. Sometimes they need more for training purposes and compliance. The Lord questions the nitrous oxide. It doesn't cause long-term effects. And Evan answers back, there have been some who didn't take well to it. It's trial and error to see how much can be given and for how long. Everyone's tolerance is different, but in the long run, we've seen more progress with it than without. The Lord there asked for the success rate, and Evan says, I'm not sure that you'll find statistics on that. Some whores were just born too stubborn and refused to submit. Our clients were less than pleased. Something tells me you no longer have that problem. So they go back and forth having like a full-on conversation. Evan says Dollhouse only produces the best of the best. And we're assuming that he's referring to selling because that is their main source of income. He applies some toys to her, and she just has to sit there and take it. Everett was handed over to be a sex slave for the rest of her life. She's a founder. Who knows how long she'll live like this? She was, 19, 20? She could live until she's 90. Take her out of the world and any harmful situation, and she will live a very long life with the enhancement she was born with. Plus, who knows what they're putting in her system that will contribute to that. So this was Cash thinking like, you have a girl who was born with these enhancements, plus whatever they're giving her at Dollhouse, because Dollhouse is where they have the enhancements, we found out. And so this isn't just a girl who's going to live, 50 years in this torture and then die. She's going to live a long time.
She's going to,
in this torturous situation.
This is where we get
So they start streaming it, and Evan reaches into his pocket, pulls out a Sharpie, and pops the lid. And this tells the audience who she is, and then he writes 111 across her stomach. All of a sudden, the 111 on her hip when we were on the Isabella makes sense. Something tells me the hotel room number she uses isn't just a coincidence either.
It's 111 too.
Hmm?
The hotel room
yes.
is 111 too.
Yep, so she uses that for her room, but that also tells him that when he saw her on the Isabella, she was a doll. A doll. So the video comes to a stop. The 3 of us spin around to face Bill and Adam. I see Gavin has entered the room while we were watching the tape. Where did he come from? What the fuck is going on? Adam snaps at Bill. Why in the fuck was my father in the room with Eve? So now we know who the mystery lord is. Adam squares his shoulder and answers, are you ready?
I wasn't.
Because Everett is your sister.
So that line is at the bottom of my Kindle, and I just kind of stared at it, and I just put it down. And I was like, okay. And I didn't read for like another few minutes, I'd go back and read it again, and I'd be, yeah, no, I'm not ready yet. Because, what? What?
I was dying. So, Hayden's dad's name is Garrett. And when I read Garrett, I was like, who the hell is that? Am I supposed to know that name? But if you just keep reading, they'll tell you who it is. It's Hayden's dad. So Bill corrects Adam and says it's your half-sister. And then everybody's just silent. She was the woman you chose to save when you were forced to pick. It gave me goosebumps. I legitimately have goosebumps. So, sophomore year at Barrington, my initiation, this is Hayden. My father made me choose between two women. I had to kill one. I had to choose the other. I bet you wish he would have killed you. They say that to her.
And now they know that it means Hayden. Because she could see through they had hoods on. So this is why Eve keeps saying, he recognizes me. He's seen me naked. He knows who I am. This is why. Because she had a hood on, so Hayden didn't know who she was, or the other woman. We still don't know who the other woman was.
No.
But it was a hood that she could see through, so she knew it was Hayden. And she knows all of this.
Cash questions him, so you knew this the whole time? And he says no. They were chained up in the basement of Carnage. Both were naked but had collars and hoods on. I never saw their faces. They were gagged, so I never heard their voices. The kid in the beginning of the video had a hood and she was wearing a metal collar. This was the same night, wasn't it? So she was brought to Dollhouse the same night that Hayden saved her, his sophomore year. After I chose to spare her life, our father sent her here. Garrett kicked her and said he didn't want to see her again. He doesn't allow Bill to answer before he continues. He was mad that I didn't kill them both. Told me that women are no use to me unless I'm fucking them. They are only for pleasure and reproduction. Bill confirms this was the same night. Saint's confused. How did we never know that Garrett had another child? Well, Adam says we rarely stayed there. And he's right. We stayed at Barrington. They hated it at Carnage. They only came there when their father said that they were needed there.
And we know from Eve's flashbacks that she was locked in a room.
Yes, we never guessed from her flashbacks that she was at Carnage.
No.
She wasn't allowed to wonder. We knew that.
Yeah.
But we would have never guessed that she was at Carnage. Then Gavin speaks and says, when Bill brought Eve to me, she was severely dehydrated and malnourished. She had a broken wrist, the injury obviously old, and hadn't received proper care. She had a positive drug and rape test, along with a few bruised ribs and a collapsed lung. Plus, she needed plastic surgery on her nose due to disfigurement. God, that hurts my heart.
We find out what that is later, too.
Saint says she was used, and Gavin says she was beaten. And then Hayden says, he's concerned because immediately he turns into Big Brother. And so he's like, we watched Evan give her drugs. Is she an addict? And Cashton says, no, Bill says, no, she's not addicted to drugs. She went through detox afterwards. And then
she's an alcoholic. She's
that's
classy.
I mean, sure. Straight from the bottle, baby. And then Hayden starts questioning the suicide attempts. How did she try to kill herself? Because they mention in the video one suicide attempt. And so Bill talks about the first time she was in a car wreck, Garrett had somebody transporting her. Eve managed to run the car off the road. The second time she was here in Dollhouse and tried hanging herself. Apparently there's a picture. And Bill says this was 6 years ago. This was at the end of Dollhouse. Bill bought her.
Yeah. Because they said that she would sell for record-breaking price. Are you saying she wasn't sold? And Bill says, I bought her. And then they kind of freak out a little bit because they thought he bought her.
Yeah.
But no, he bought her to save her. And then we find out why. Because we had asked, I think in episode 1.
We did. Like, why her?
Why her?
Like, there's so many people at Dollhouse. Yeah. Why would he pick her?
He loved her mother. And he knew that was her daughter. So he felt that he wanted to save her.
So he paid $3 million for her.
Yeah, he did.
God damn. Yeah. And he says, I never slept with her. And Cashton's arguing, like, you took advantage of her. You knew she was at Dollhouse and what she was trained for. Why else would you spend money on her? And that's when he says, I loved her mother. My wife failed her assignment and was forced to become a breeder. Garrett paid a lot of money to get what he wanted from my wife. I knew Everett existed, but I couldn't get my hands on her. After Garrett took Everett to Carnage, I couldn't get close to her. I offered him money. I tried everything to convince him to give her to me. He wanted sons, not a daughter, but he refused, said he had found a use for her. At the time, I didn't know what he meant. After he sent her to Dollhouse, it took me a year to get her out of it, but I promise I spent all that time trying. So then Hayden's pissed because he's like, when I met you at the cathedral about Charlotte, you didn't ever mention this. And he's like, nope, I didn't. He's like, why not? He's like, because I didn't want you to know about her. He's like, that's not your decision to make. And he's like, nope, it's hers, and she didn't want anything to do with you. He said, she's known about you all her life. Everett was raised at Carnage. She's also aware you've been living there since your father was killed, and she has chosen to not want you in her life. Then we find out that Adam's known that Hayden and Eve are brother sister, and Hayden wants to know how long he's known, and Adam admits that he's known for 4 years.
Adam's not helping himself here.
He's not.
Um,
So then he wants to know if Cash is upset, like, are you as mad as I am? And Cash basically says, I am, but I'm not mad at them. I'm pissed at what she's been through, that she's known she had a brother and has chosen not to come to you.
because of what she's been through. Like,
The conversation, it goes back to the conversation that even Adam had on the phone while Cash was hiding in the closet. When Adam was telling her, like, be careful or whatever. And she said, no, Bill knows I want nothing to do with them. She didn't want to be around me because it would lead her to being around Hayden and Carnage. It must have taken her a lot to finally step inside that place to be there with me, to feel safe after Garrett hid her there.
yeah.
And when he said that, I was like, wow, that's true.
Because she went there willingly. She
Yeah.
couldn't get a hold of Cash, and she's like, fine, I guess he's at Carnage. And went there, and he wasn't there. But she went in there anyways. Like, into a room. And it really goes to show, like, how much she has come, I guess, along. Like, I don't know.
So then it says, they start discussing, you said Garrett had found another use for her. What does that mean? And so he says she was to be their personal breeder. You're saying Garrett, her own father, raped her?
He said there.
He said there. They all did. Bill rubs the back of his neck and says, he did. They all did. Meaning all of their dads did.
They decided to make her a personal breeder for the Spade brothers. So in one of her flashbacks where she goes, he's the meanest one, it was one of the dads. So it's one of the Spade brothers' dads. I guess I should differentiate them. So he didn't want a daughter, and Bill's like, well, you don't want her, give her to me. Well, it found out it's because they decided to make her their personal breeder because she was a founder and a Spade. So, because if her mom was a breeder, it means that Garrett was the one that got her pregnant, and he got to keep the kid, which was her.
Yep.
So.
In the video, the kid said that she had been pregnant but was sterilized. Why would my father allow that to happen if the Spade brothers wanted to use her as a breeder? It's why she tried to commit suicide, Adam answers. She caused the wreck on purpose after she found out she was pregnant. That's why the medical records state a miscarriage. Garrett found her shortly after. Eve survived, but the fetus did not. There was extensive internal damage that resulted in a hysterectomy, Gavin explained. She was in a coma for 2 weeks. So now we know.
No one, voluntarily
Right.
sterilized her. It was because of the car wreck and miscarriage that she caused.
So then they start discussing what were they going to do with extra children. I understand that Garrett hid her, but kids, how are they going to hide kids there? And what we think is that they were planning to sell the kids. There is mention in this book about, or in at the end of Madness when they're on the plane with Adam, there's mention about people selling Lord children to non-Lord couples who want to join the secret society. So those parents would not be in the society, but that child's children, that child would be, and their children would be. And so it's just kind of extending the secret society to include people that aren't in it right now, but the rest of their family would be.
Yeah.
So it alludes to that could be the case because they just say we can't answer that. The only ones who could tell us are dead. Somebody does ask, how was Leanne involved in all of this? And of course they're like, we don't have any idea what you're talking about. But Charlotte did say that she saw Eve at the cathedral when Charlotte's father took her there when she was much younger. And Leanne was running an offering and Eve was in the attendance without a cloak and mask. Bill just says the Spade brothers were friends with Leanne's husband. So it's possible. But nobody really has any idea about that. Then it comes out that Adam has been with Eve.
Which he had already kind of told Cash, and he said I was drunk. It was one time.
We did know already, but Hayden didn't
know.
So now Hayden knows, and Adam's going to be carrying a black eye from getting hit more than once. Yeah. So it goes on to say, from Cashin's point of view, it makes me understand why I found her on the kitchen floor with the half-empty bottle while she told me she didn't want to be my wife. She thinks she's a whore who can't be loved, that she doesn't deserve to be happy. She was never told that she deserved the world. Yep. And then it switches to Eve's point of view. She, God. At this point...
Just right into it.
At this point, so the boys are at Dollhouse finding out all of this information, having their world rocked. And she is at Carnage. She is in Charlotte's room, and she says, I hate that I'm going to be an aunt, because she knows that she's Hayden's sister and can't even tell her that. I want to hug her and cry, tell her how excited I am, that I'm going to spoil them and will drop everything if they ever need me. But I can't say those words, and they'll never get to know I'm here for them. It's for the best. And then all of a sudden you hear her name being screamed out in the hallway, and it's Hayden. And they go to the door, and Hayden says, did you know that you're my sister? And Charlotte is, what? But we like Charlotte, so we'll let her have that reaction. And then Ashton puts her nosy nose out into the hallway.
That whore.
Because she needs to know. And so she just says, yes. And he says, were you ever going to tell me? And no. Her inner monologue is, our father hated him almost as much as he hated me. I knew Hayden was too good of a person to let him know who I was. It would have only gotten him in trouble with our father. I know he's dead now, but telling him would open another door that I need to keep shut for both our sakes. So her answer is no. She's never going to tell him. Why not? He asked. I could have protected you. Protect me? We were all on our own, Hayden. Everyone was. The guys had each other, but they still went through hell. They were separated and tortured all because Ashton ran and fucked everything up. Our father kept me away from Hayden because he knew we'd get close and Hayden would choose me. That was one less thing he wanted to fight Hayden on. And he's been dead for years. After the Spade fathers were killed, there was no reason to confront any of them. I was free to move on with my life. I didn't want to come back to this. Cashin changed all that. I'm sorry. He runs a hand over his head before it drops to his side. I'm sorry that Dad sent you to Dollhouse. I should have asked about you, the girl I picked to save. My head snaps up and I glare at him. Dollhouse? How do you know about that? Bill. It was Bill. So Hayden says, why would you say this? We've been at Dollhouse. We watched your tape. Why would you tell her that?
Hayden.
What is wrong with men? You just don't say things like that.
I think Cash would have known to go in like slowly, but Hayden doesn't know anything about her. So Hayden's like, we watched your tape.
And then he says, like, you're just being what's on the tape. Why would you ever tell somebody you watched that? So then Hayden says, Eve, Bill showed it to us. Like, that's going to make her believe you. It did make her believe you. And then she ran away. Nope. Should we put that as she runs away?
No. I don't think that counts.
She did leave.
But I'm calling, like, she's gone, and they're like, where is she? No, they knew where she was.
So she went home. This is all still in the same chapter.
This is still chapter 44.
She went home, and when she got home, there was an envelope on her bed. And in the envelope is a picture of her lying in the hospital bed when Bill saved her, which is the picture, I'm assuming, when he says this was 6 years ago and I had just gotten her back. And
I think they have the same envelope that they handed to the guys, and that was where the picture came from.
And then there was a report with it, like basically saying everything that was wrong with her that had happened to her. It was after I ran into Cashin on the Isabella. Evan punished me for that night. Bill found me 6 weeks later. I didn't think I was going to survive much longer. If I didn't commit suicide, Evan was going to kill me. I tossed it to the floor and looked over the report of what had been done to me. Everything my body survived at Dollhouse. Is that what they read? They know everything. And then you hear, hey, sis. Evan's there. And she ran. So she's by herself.
Yeah.
So she's asking him, did you do this? And he says, I told you Cashton would be a problem. He'd get too close. I had to show them. They needed to see who you really are. Show, the video, you told me you deleted them. Why would you ever believe somebody like him? I can't make that make sense in my mind.
Hope?
I guess. So, he's telling her that Cashton can't love you. And she's like, do I believe that Cashton loves me? No. A woman like me can't be loved. And that makes me feel so sad. But I know that he wants to care for me more than anyone else ever has. Fuck Evan for thinking no one else could love me. Cashton makes me feel different. He's helped me accept myself for who I am and what I like in bed. But he keeps calling her his dolly, and that creeps me out.
So creepy. I honestly think, like, even though this is his half-sister, I think he, like...
He's infatuated.
Yeah. He's, like, infatuated with her, and he just wants her, needs her. So he thinks that he's sabotaging the rest of her life, and she's, for some reason, going to run back to him?
I don't know.
But, yeah.
But the brother chases her through the house. I'm going to make this long story short for this part because he first tells her that he did rape her when she was there, and that she willingly took it because she was high on drugs and had no idea what was going on, and he had trained her body to crave those things. And so
she's having, as he's saying this, she's having flashbacks, and she's remembering. He's making her remember. So
then he chases her through the house. She does fight back, but she ends up getting her leg cut in the process.
She cuts him too.
She does cut him. She punches him in the face. He punches her in the face. Her face is bleeding. She stabs him in the side. And so she ends up hurting him to the point that he ends up leaving, and she runs to the bathroom. She's sitting in the bathroom when Cashton gets there. She's sitting in the bathroom with the knife to her throat, thinking, if he breaks down this door, I'm just going to kill myself.
She thinks it's Evan who's going to get in. She doesn't know that Evan ran. She hurt him, ran into the bathroom, closed the door, and then said, I'm going to kill myself if he gets in.
Yeah. She says, I hold the knife to my neck. If he gets in, I won't have more than a couple of seconds. So she is ready to just, get it done. All of that happened in chapter 44.
Yep.
Chapter 45 was a little less eventful. They bust in on her. That's Hayden, who is immediately in Big Brother mode. Cash and Saint. I feel like Saint is still living in a state of confusion. They get there. They see that she is not well.
There's blood everywhere.
They don't know if it's hers. They can't find where it's coming from. They stick her in the shower. They do realize that it's coming from her leg. They can't move her to Carnage with how bad she's bleeding, so they end up cauterizing it.
Yeah.
Ugh. So they have to hold her down to do that. Hayden is convinced that she is suicidal.
Yeah. Which is messed up because he was supposed to be suicidal and he wasn't suicidal. You don't have any doubt? It just annoyed me a little that.
He harps on it for multiple chapters.
He does.
That's what's annoying to me.
That's why it annoys me. They said you were suicidal and you knew you weren't, so you just automatically take this report at what it is.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yep. So she does have some flashbacks to what happened at Dollhouse with her brother.
This whole time that when the Cash breaks in, they're trying to figure out where the blood is. All of this stuff. She keeps telling Cash, I'm sorry, I didn't know, I didn't mean to, I didn't know, I'm sorry. It's like she keeps repeating those things. We eventually get that it's her telling Cash, I didn't know he was my brother, and I didn't remember, so I'm sorry. And then she's like, I didn't do this to me, and they watched the video because they have video surveillance in her house, of course. And they're like, no, we know that he did it, and we know that you didn't try to kill yourself.
But even after they know that, Hayden is still set on this suicidal stuff. Chapter 46, Sin and Riot couldn't find or track Evan. We do know that he's still alive because he did get away, but the blood trail ends. So he had obviously parked his car. They watch him walk up to her house from the woods, and that's where the blood trail stopped, was when he
got to wherever his car probably was.
Yep. Sin, I think, loves her. He's like, she put up one hell of a fight. Wherever he is right now, he's in pain, if not dead. And he says things like that a couple times. So I do think, like, he's like, so whatever she did to him, he needed medical assistance quickly or he was going to bleed out. Like, he acknowledges her fight multiple times. And from Sin, that is huge.
Right?
We find out in this chapter that when Bill showed them that video, he was sent that video from an anonymous number, which turned out to be Evan. And then he just showed it to them. Like, I feel like that's information that should have been made known a little bit more clearly. Because they're like, you said that you found the video. And he's like, we never said that. It was sent to us by an unknown number. I feel like you should have made that a bit more clear.
Fucking Bill.
So then it comes out that Hayden says, what did Evan mean by she owes him for me? Because I guess that's mentioned in the video. And so Bill says, when you turned yourself over to Isabella, so when Hayden was at Dollhouse in Madden, your brothers called Adam to help find you. He knew who Charlotte really was, and he suspected that you were with Isabella but couldn't be certain. Adam contacted Eve, and she reached out to Evan, whom she hates with her whole body, trying to find out if you were at Dollhouse. It took him a week, but he confirmed that's where you were. So Eve was Bill's connection to Dollhouse.
Eve saved Hayden.
Eve contacted the one person she wanted to avoid to save Hayden, the half-brother who raped and abused her, which is Evan, so we could rescue the half-brother who didn't even know she existed.
Which goes to show when Evan sent her a video, showed her a video. It's like, well, I have to save him. He saved me. Now we know that was Hayden. Yeah. He assumed that it was Bill or Adam at the time, but it wasn't. It was Hayden. And
that makes so much sense. I have to save him because he saved me. We go back to Cash and Hayden fighting over suicidal thoughts. And arguing over that. Then we come to, so everybody's in her room, her hospital room, arguing. That would really bother me. I guess she's unconscious. But Cashin says to Bill, when I went to you and demanded that you pull strings so I can marry her, you made a big deal out of her being a founder. Adam went to speak and you interrupted him to tell me she's different. He was going to tell me that she's the child of a spade, wasn't he? Yes. Why didn't you tell me? I wanted her to tell you. I thought she would open up to you. Well, she hasn't. Not at all. And I feel that now she'll close me out more than before. So that's a concern for when she wakes up. And then we switch to Everett's point of view. This is where she tells him once she wakes up, you were right, but I swear I didn't know Evan was my brother at the time. Not until afterward when Bill saved me. I don't remember much from Dollhouse. And she's always apologizing. And Cash is like, don't be sorry. I'm so sorry for what he did to you, what you've been through, but I promise it changes nothing. I still love you and I still want to be with you. So sweet. That takes us to chapter 47. In this chapter, there is another video in a group chat sent to the Spades and Bill, which we know is Evan, so it just further confirms that he's not dead. They bring Isabella out of the basement to watch this one. The room looks different from the other video we watched. This one has padded walls. It reminds me of a psych ward. There's a chair in the middle of the room that resembles a dentist chair. Oh, I do remember this one. They put her in the chair. Oh. He's punishing her. He has a wound on his right cheek, and Eve's the one that gave it to him, so he's punishing her.
She bit him.
Yeah.
We'll find that out later.
Yeah. So,
this is why she needed repair on her nose. He gives her a septum ring, and then he explains to her that he's going to keep making the gauge bigger. Mm-hmm. And he says that all dolls have one, and that it's like a bull ring. and that it's so people can use it however they feel, they want to use it. So at some point, which I hope we don't get this flashback, at some point that either gets ripped out or he really does make it bigger or something, and that's when Gavin said that they needed
a nose job for disfigurement.
Yeah, they had to fix her. So
when I first read that about needing the nose job, I assumed that like somebody had hit her or something and
That's
broken her nose. But that's. So during that video playing, Cash gets a call. It's from Sin, and it was super, super nice. Because they're bromancing still.
Of course.
Sin calls and is asking about her. How is she doing? And he's like, okay, I guess. I don't know. And so he says, remember when I had you take Ellie to that appointment for me? You took her to a therapist. We don't want to overstep, but we want to offer help in any way we can. Ellie has an appointment tomorrow, and if Eve would like to take it, Ellie will call and speak to the doctor. Explain the details without giving any information about Eve, of course. But I understand if that's too much. No, I interrupt him. It's not too much. He adds, she has no connections to the Lords in any way. That's very nice of you guys. Thank you. Please give her our information. We'll be there.
Fucking Cash.
He means so well.
He takes her to the appointment. Doesn't tell her what it is. She gets into the doctor's office and is in there for all of 10 seconds before she realizes what it is, and then rushes out and has a scene in the parking lot with Cash. So Cash finally takes her in a vehicle and is like, you can hit me all you want, but don't do it in fucking public.
I think she made his nose bleed.
Yeah, she punched him in the nose. In her inner monologue, as she's running out, she's like saying things like, this is what Garrett made me do. Garrett made me go to a therapist.
He thinks I'm broken.
Yes. So it just didn't go over well.
Garrett made me seek therapy. Yeah. He made me sit in a straitjacket and talk about my feelings. It was a way to control me, to fuck with my mind, to convince me I was insane, and that all fathers treated their daughters the way he did me. Even Bill didn't force me into therapy after he found me. He let me work out my issues in my own way. Maybe that's the problem. I never did work them out.
She kills me.
I mean... So, that's pretty much all of that chapter.
Yeah.
Chapter 48 kind of gives us some insight on when Bill was trying to buy her back. She ripped open her stitches while they were having that little fight, so they had to drug her to put her to sleep, which she hates.
Yeah. She tells Cash, you're just like them.
That is the last thing she says to him before she goes to sleep is, you're just like them. And then they put her to sleep and fix her stitches. So when she wakes up, we're going to skip around because the book skipped around. It goes back to a flashback of when Bill was trying to get her out of Dollhouse. He goes to see her. Evan says there's no visiting hours, but Isabella says that he can see her.
This is a video that was sent to Bill that he then sends to Cash. It's on flashback. It's a video.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Isabella says that he can see her. They have her in isolation. Apparently she's being punished. Who knows? The red light is on, meaning they have a live feed going of her in isolation. I don't even know why you would want to watch that, but I'm not of that mind frame, I guess. She's freezing. She barely has a pulse. Like, she's near death at this point. So Bill's asking them, what did you give her? When was the last time she had something to eat? And Evan says it takes 45 days to die of starvation, and she's only been here for 2 weeks. Horrible. So Isabella says, take her to the infirmary, and he offers $1 million for her. Evan says no. Bill tells him, you don't get to decide. You're going to sell her anyways. I'll buy her now for $2 million. Isabella's kind of thinking about it, and Evan says she's not being sold. We have better use for her. So Bill's like, what is it? And he says she's going to be a recruiter. Bill says, no, she'll never do it. And Evan says she'll do whatever I tell her to do. I'm the one she answers to. I'm the one who gives her orders. So then Bill says, $3 million. Isabella says, take her to the infirmary, get her some fluids and food. You can continue her punishment in a couple days. She's worth nothing to us dead. So Bill tells her, you can't do this. And she says, I can do whatever I want. He says, Amy would kill you for this. And then Isabella says, Amy knew the risk when she decided she wanted to be initiated. She would not have done this to your daughter, to Annabelle. Isabella, she was your best friend. And Isabella says, yes, she would have. I'm a woman in a man's world. I have to take what I want. Eve is innocent, Bill says. Maybe, but you know the rules. She must serve the Lord's one way or another. If Evan kills Eve, I will burn this place down with you in it. I will not give up on her. So Amy is Eve's mom and apparently was Isabella's BFF. Apparently
Bill's
she's
first wife.
the founder. Amy is the founder.
Yeah.
So if you're looking at your bingo card, we got more founder names. That's one of them. You can mark that off because we know that Eve came from a founder and then Amy became a breeder when she failed her initiation. They did question Bill.
So he watches the video, calls Bill back. And he goes, what was that? You knew where Dollhouse was, but you never, the whole time, like...
You could have taken them down years ago.
Yeah, and he goes, no, I told you I was waiting for confirmation that Hayden was there. So Bill was all about, like, wording stuff just the right way.
But Cashin's thinking, Adam's boss, the detective on Bill's private jet, told us they had been looking for their location, and Bill knew all along and could have helped them.
Bill's all for himself, though.
That is true.
If it doesn't serve Bill, then...
That is true.
Yeah.
When Eve wakes up, she is having a flashback, and I did not highlight much in there because it's awful.
Her flashbacks are awful.
They are awful. So chapter 49, there is a key conversation between Eve and Cashin. And in this conversation, one of the key things she says is, she told me you were a good boy, but I didn't believe her. No one who survives hell comes out holy. She has continued to say to him, I'm sorry, I said you were just like them, and you're not. And when she says that, he says, who is them? And she says, our fathers. So then she says, she told me you were a good boy, but I didn't believe her. No one who survives hell comes out holy. Who told you that? He's a good boy? And she says, your mother. So he's like, what about my mom?
So in the previous chapters, when we talked about the woman that was in Cashin's flashbacks, the woman that was in the cell in Carnage, we never clarified. We find out that that's his mom. So we get one of the flashbacks and it's his mom. When she's gone, it's his mom. So now we know that Eva said your mother. And at this point,
it is also one of the many reasons why Cash hates his dad, because his dad had his mother chained up down there like his whole life until she died. We started to talk about that in the last episode, and then we're like, oh, I don't know if we've come to that chapter yet or not. And so then we didn't, and then we didn't come back to it. But that is one of the main reasons why he hates his dad. So Eve says, I had an imaginary friend. Isolation will do that to you, make you see things that aren't there. She was so pretty. Golden blonde hair that flowed down her back, big eyes, they were so bright. The prettiest thing about her was that she never had any bruises. Her skin was so vibrant and perfect. I wanted to be her. She and I would play in the basement. When we would go down there, there was always a woman. She looked cold and hungry. I wanted to help her, set her free, but she would never let me, told me it was too dangerous, that she was where she was meant to be. One time I was down there with my imaginary friend, and my father caught me, threw me in the cell across from hers. It wasn't long after that I heard someone new join us in the basement. It was you. You gave her a brownie. Your father found you, dragged you to the elevator. That's when she spoke to me. She said, he's a good boy, not like them. I didn't believe her because I didn't think people were born bad. I thought, just give him time. They'll change him. So that's when he knows that she was down there at the same time that his mother was. Then it talks about, like, his father came back after he dragged Cashin to the elevator, opened her cell. He started to beat her. He didn't know that she was down there. He unlocked her cell and removed his belt and tied her up. She did eventually untie herself, but his mother just kept saying that he's a good boy, he's not like them, and then there was just silence. It must have been morning when you came back down. Your father told you she was gone, and you started screaming for her.
So Eve was there when his mom killed herself.
She says, I remember thinking, I'll do that one day. I'll get the chance to end it. The only difference is no one will scream for me. No one will miss me. I'm sorry, Cashin. It's my fault. It was me that night. She ended her life because of me. I took her from you. No, Eve, it's not your fault. None of it was. So they go on to have that back and forth conversation of quit blaming yourself and blah, blah, blah. And she says she would be proud of you, Cashton. And I thought that was so sweet because he truly is a mama's boy in whatever way he could be with her being locked in a basement. But on your bingo card, if you're paying attention, Eve was locked in the basement at Carnage. Not in the way that we thought she would be.
Right, but it was in a flashback, so it counts.
So that does count.
New to this book.
Yep. At one point, Cash leaves, and Eve is checking her phone. And she gets a job from Ashton, or she gets a group text from Ashton, and it says it has all of the girls in it. And so we realize that Blakely and Ellie have all had their babies now, and they are planning Lakin's baby shower. I don't know if that was a heartless move to add her or a nice move. It's kind of double-sided. Nice for her to get to know the girls, but obviously she can't have kids, so I'm sure that's a little bit difficult for her to see. Yeah. But anyway, she also has a text from an Adam with a name and a number. So she's going to go to work. And then her and Cashton argue about it the entire time. He calls her and is pissed.
Because she's leaving.
That she's leaving Carnage.
And he clearly has some type of tracker on her.
Yeah.
So he's like, where are you going? What you doing? Not that nicely. And she's like, I'm going out.
So she does. She goes to the motel. She goes to the bar, doesn't even have her drink. She picks up the guy. They go to the hotel room. She immediately kills him. Easy work. And then as soon as Cashin pulls up at the hotel, he gets a text about her initiation. And then he walks into the hotel room and they do their little banter. Like she's going to shoot him and kill him. And then they do their other little banter. The little bedtime waltz. And then he says, I've been on the clock since I received the text. So when they're done, he asks her, how do you feel? And she says, I'm not going to get sick. That's a big step for her, accepting that she can be in this relationship with him.
And not get sick every time. It's getting better.
Yep. But then
she goes in the bathroom to clean her hands.
She picks up her phone, opening up the message from an unknown number. My stomach drops at what's written across it.
And that's why we couldn't stop at 50.
That's the end of 50. You couldn't stop there.
We know it's her initiation.
Had to keep going.
But we should have, because this is hard.
Mm-hmm.
So Cash sees her like body tense, so he knows that it's she got her assignment. He goes out to his car to get his bag of stuff. She goes, I got a text, and he goes, what now? And he says, I do what I have to do. And then he just says, I'm sorry. And none of this is your fault, like letting her know, like, I'm gonna make you hate me. That's what these tests do. And then she looks at him and says, I could never hate you. I was just frustrated. He goes, well, I'm gonna break you, Eve. That's what the Lord's make me do. And then eventually he says, I love you. And he tells her he's giving her a 60-second head start.
In that time frame, he calls Sin. Like, in that 60 seconds, he calls Sin.
Sin.
And he says, are you at Carnage? And Sin says, yeah, Saint and Hayden are pissed at you. You removed your tracker? Yep. Ripped that bitch out the moment I left my brother's after Eve hung up on me. We were at Dollhouse looking for Evan. Bill thought he might be there. Saint wasn't talking and Hayden was voicing his opinion on how Eve can't be left alone. I didn't remove my tracker because I'm hiding. It's because I don't want to lead Hayden to Eve. He's got this big brother needs to protect her complex now. As much as I am grateful for that, she doesn't need him. She needs me. Especially now that I got her assignment. Hayden would never allow me to do what I'm about to do to her. What do you need? Sen asked at my silence. I received Eve's assignment for her initiation. I'm going to send you a list of things and an address. When do you need it by? An hour. And then he sends it. And Sen says, God damn it. I'll meet you there. This stays between us. Of course. Duh. Sen's always got his back. Eve, I think, was a little... Sen's basically like, I'm here if you need me. I'm not leaving. So... Then they both go in, and that's when they realize that Bill is there, and Bill says that he was told to be there to make sure Cashton gets the job done.
So he's the one basically grading his assignment.
Then it goes to Eve, and this is her waking up and what all's happening, and it's gruesome and it's good. Ugly. Basically, it's stressed. Cash tying her up and basically letting the boys line up and do what they need to do.
And by boys, it's just anyone who's there. And he tells her, like, I'm going to do what I need to do to get you. And in her mind, she goes, he's really going to do anything he needs to do to get me. So he ties her up and lets any lords that are there do with her what they want. And that is her initiation.
Yeah.
And that is his initiation because he's making her do it knowing that it's going to break her.
Yeah. When she wakes up, she's terrified of him.
This is still in her initiation. She realizes that they all, because she used to clean up guys at the cathedral who got cut with the razors. Not only did Cash let them do with her what they wanted, they all got a souvenir, which was a razor, and they got to cut her. And she says that she sees like flaps of skin where they didn't just cut her, they like, cut her really bad, and
she's bleeding everywhere.
Yeah, she's looking at she's looking in a mirror and like sees this happening to her, and then she wakes up again,
and she's like terrified of him. So when she wakes up, they are at Tyson's apartment above Blackout, I believe is where he took her.
Yeah.
And she's like, I hate you. Like, don't touch me. Don't look at me. Get away from me. He grabs a bottle of water and like rolls it across the floor to her because she immediately like jumps away from him and is like up against the wall. And she's like, did you poison it? Like, she has no trust in him, nothing. So then he basically picks her up and carries her to the bathroom to show her in the mirror that, like, you're not cut up. You're not bruised.
He didn't know what was going on, though. She looks in the mirror and was like, what's, I don't understand.
Yeah.
So he has to explain to her what happened.
So basically her initiation was, he did drug her, and he took her to Dollhouse, and then she was strapped down to a bed. He was locked out of the room. Bill administered a drug, and that drug causes hallucinations. So the entire thing that she thinks she went through was a hallucination of her worst fear.
Cash watched from the observation room. Cash and Sen.
Yeah. This chapter is just basically going through that.
It's them. They're both under. It's Cash explaining to her what's going on, and then he's getting bits and pieces because Eve's like, you stood there and let them and watched while I begged you to kill me. So, like, because I was done with it. So he's getting bits and pieces, but he still doesn't know exactly what all's gone on in her mind.
Yep. So he walks through everything that happened with him and Sen, which I don't know that I wouldn't have killed Bill if he's going to lock the door. Right. But, whatever. Sen's just having normal conversations while all of this is going on.
Is this where they talked about therapy?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. It is. So Sin says, "How was therapy? Did it help?" And I say, "Nope, she freaked. Ran out of the building and then punched me." "What do you mean she freaked?" "She yelled at me. Was mad that I took her." "Hold up. Are you telling me she didn't want to go?" "Well, I didn't really tell her she was going." "The fuck?
The fuck?
Are you kidding me?" "You told me to take her," I argue. "No, I said if Eve wanted to go." "Christ, Cashin." "Ellie goes," I argue defensively. "That's not how these things work. Ellie was the one who came to me and said she wanted to go to therapy. She decides if I stay in the waiting room. She decides if I sit in on the sessions. And she decides if I just observe or if I get to participate. Ellie controls the situation."
He's like, "I just wanted to help."
I just love Sin. They're just hilarious together. But then at that moment, while they're watching through the room, is when she starts saying in her hallucination, "Cashin, please don't, please don't." And so he knows that he's a part of her hallucination.
Yeah.
So that is pretty much the end of that chapter. They kind of come together as far as she says, "So you didn't let them rape me?" And he said, "No, I'd never let anyone touch you, let alone hurt you."
She says it felt so real, and he goes, "I know, it's what it does. It's, you know." And he says, "You're okay. I'll never hurt you." So yeah, that's the end of 52. Right? Nope, that's the end of 53. So we decided that was a good place to end.
So we still have a ways to go in this book.
Yeah, we're like 50. Oh no, we're 60% of the way through.
So where do we want to go from here? How much do we want to read?
So 54 to, let's say, 64, 74. We read how many chapters?
We want to do 75.
Yeah.
And then
chapters did
we read 29 to 54.
Oh, so 20 chapters.
Yeah.
So we'll read to 75, yeah.
And then if
that's a bad one to end on, we'll, do our thing. So we're going to read 54 to 75.
Okay, you heard it here, 54 to 75. And then we'll be back to discuss it. I hope you guys are enjoying this book as much as we are. I do think Haley is feeling herself today. I do think that we need to get like a big board to put behind us so we can string together all of these characters.
Because these next chapters are going to be the ones where we're like, wait, who? Wait, huh? Who? Where?
Yeah. That is it for today. We will see you guys next week. Happy reading.
Bye.
Bye.